we've got 16 practices in. 2-a-days are done. You know, obviously we'll bring them up here the next 3 mornings and do some lifting or some meetings and stuff like that. But we got 3 more practices of camp, 17, 18, 19, which is the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before we break camp, which is 3 important practices to continue with our development on all 3 sides of the ball. Before, you know, we break camp, you know, Saturday's a big day for our guys to, you know, get moved into their dorm rooms or their permanent residence, and we got lots of activities that will be going on Saturday, Sunday. Obviously, getting ready for school on Monday, which changes things, and we'll talk a lot about our team as far as how to be able to handle the specific changes and all that. But happy with where we're at on all 3 sides of the ball, especially probably defensively. Our first group's really coming along. It's where we got the most experience coming back, but first team defense, really happy with kind of where we're at and the motivation level that they're playing with, the energy that they're playing with. Extremely satisfied with where they're at. Special teams has been a focal point, and you know, talked to you guys about this a lot last year. I mean, our special teams is not just the kicker, punter, returner. I mean, there's a lot that goes into the special teams that you have to have a bunch of depth to be able to be adequate or above average on special teams. And I like our depth. We've got a lot of bodies that are going to be able to help us on special teams. The actual specialists, I'm going to brag on those guys a little bit too. You know, Josh Lambert's doing well. We've talked about him. John DePalma, the snapper, is light years ahead of where he was last year. That's a very unappreciated position until they're not very good, but that looks really good. Our punters are booming the ball. Nick O'Toole has got a strong leg. Mike Molinari's doing a great job in punting, and he's also doing a lot of our kickoff stuff. Both of them are. And Huey's doing great as well. Got maybe the strongest leg of all 3 of them. So got some competition going there with those guys from a return point of view. Got guys that are going to be able to do it. They look comfortable back there. It's still up for grabs. You know, kick return. We should have enough of those bodies to where we can have different punt returners than we do kick returners, which is a skill that I'd like to develop. But got a lot of guys back there that are capable of doing it, which is still up for grabs. Charles Sims looks good back there. Wendell Smallwood does. Mario Alford looks good back there. Shelton Gibson looks good back there. Ronald Carswell. You know, so we got a lot of bodies. Darrell Worley's a guy that's been back there quite a bit. He's got speed, he's got ball skills. So we got lots of guys to choose from. Injury update. You know, Adam Pankey's progressing. He's still month to month. You know, we're looking October, you know, before he's probably back ready to go. You know, a lot of day-to-day guys. When you guys are out there today, you're going to see several guys in green jerseys. Nothing season-ending. Obviously, Nana, he had successful shoulder surgery. We'll be out about 6 months. We look for him to be back in spring ball. But there are guys that are day-to-day. Kevin White's day-to-day with the shoulder. Dante Campbell and Jordan Thompson have been day-to-day with shoulders, but they're on scheduled to come back. They may even be out of their green jersey today. We'll see when we get out there. Wes Tonkery's day-to-day. Jared Barber's day-to-day with just a shoulder nick. Anytime you bang as much as we've been banging for the last week and a half, you're going to have some guys with some sore shoulders. But those guys should be back pretty good. Juwan Snow's probably year to year, it seems like. It seems like he's always got something wrong. He's not out there. I don't know if he's ever going to get back. You know, and then from the eligibility standpoint, Isaac McDonald has been cleared. We'll be here tomorrow. Still waiting on Darian Howard, and Devontae Henry still got some personal things that he's working out. Will Johnson and Carney Arlia have left the team. You know, great kids. They just want to go play. So I will release them anywhere that they want to go to be able to go get themselves in a position where they can play ball. So there's all the updates. From there, we'll take some questions.
Dana, you said you were, I mean, you fairly raved about your defense. You said you were happy, thrilled, whatever with it. Are you talking about just looking at your defense, or are you relating, is this in relation to what you saw last year? Is there a degree there that...
Yeah, Dave, it could be in relation to where we are last year, definitely way ahead of where we were last year. And you know, we're talking about a lot of the same bodies, so we ought to be ahead of where we were last year. It's either that or it's in relation to where we are offensively, which is not where we were last year. I mean, that's going to be quite obvious that offensively we're not where we were last year at this point. That doesn't mean that we can't be better than we were last year at the end of the season. It's just going to take some time whenever you're breaking in as many new bodies as we're breaking in. I hope, and you don't know this until you actually start playing, I hope defensively we're ahead of where we were last year based on, you know, coaching and experience and schemes and blah, blah, blah. I hope it's not because we're just inadequate on offense. But again, how are you going to know until you actually line up and start playing?
Shannon was out yesterday. He mentioned that the defense is lining up differently. The way they're lining up is making it hard to kind of tell what they're doing and kind of get set offensively and making it tough on the O-line in particular. Can you talk about that a little bit, what you're seeing out of the defense and kind of what they're doing to give you guys a hard time on offense?
Well, it's the same scheme. I mean, there's going to be small changes that Keith's going to like to do a little bit different than what Joe liked to do, but it's relatively the same scheme. Just like us offensively, we can do some things different this year than we did last year that are going to be small differences that you're really not going to be able to tell from the stands looking down. You know, I'd like to think that these guys are just a year more comfortable in what we're asking them to do. So they're able to, for instance, Carl and Darwin, you know, two experienced guys at the safeties. I mean, those guys need to disguise things. I mean, they can't give away what they're going to be doing, or offensively we're going to be able to see it and getting better plays and all the rest. And I think with the familiarity with the defense and just game experience, playing experience, that they're going to be more comfortable with it, and they're going to be able to learn how to do things a little bit, you know, probably sneakier, a little bit different, so to speak.
Dana, Shannon was quite strong yesterday in his displeasure with the inside receivers. What is your level of contentment with the inside?
I will echo that. We're going to move Da'Keel Shorts inside today. You don't move guys unless you're displeased with what you're looking at. Now, you know, and again, I defend each and every one of those guys. I mean, you talk about Mario Alford, who's been on campus for what, 2 weeks? You know, Devontae Mathis and Vernon Davis are both freshmen. Okay, they've never taken a college snap. Who else we got there? Shelton Gibson and Jackie Marcellus have both been on campus for a month. They're both true freshmen. You know, you know, I got excuses for each and every one of those guys. Dante Campbell and Jordan Thompson have not practiced in well over a week and a half. You know, so I got plenty of excuses on why it looks bad, of which none of us want to hear them. I don't want to hear them. I don't want to look at them. You don't want to hear them. You can write about them probably, but it is what it is. We got to get guys in there we trust and guys in there that we like. Which one of the guys that I just mentioned going to end up developing into all Big 12 performers? I don't know yet, but I think there's talent there. They just got to come on. They got to keep playing. They got to, and we're not mad at them. We're not yelling at them. We're yelling at them probably a little bit, but we're not discouraging them, and we're not discouraged by them. But with that said, we play a game in 2 weeks, and we got to get guys ready to play.
Do you think about moving any of the running backs into some inside stuff?
We've done some of that. Charles Sims could be our best inside receiver right now, you know, pretty easily. So we've done a little bit of that with him. We've done a little bit of that with Bowie and Garrison. Wendell can do it. Dreamus is probably not that type of a back, not that type of an inside receiver. The other thing is with Cody Clay. Cody Clay's day-to-day too. He's got like a little hamstring, which is no big deal whatsoever. But he didn't practice yesterday. But you could move Cody Clay to inside receiver. We've worked Garrett Hope. We've worked Eli Wellman as inside receivers as well, just trying to find some sort of reliability, which Cody could do that very easily. We just got to figure out what the plan is.
You're 2 weeks from your third year, going into your third full season as a head coach. How are you different from the guy that took over the job, 2 years ago?
Oh shoot, I don't know. I'd still coach the same way. I don't know. I don't evaluate myself like that. I mean, I'd like to think that the entire program is a little bit more organized and a little bit more structured. A little bit more guys that understand how we do things. Probably that's just natural progression. Whether it's good or bad, time will tell.
Experience does have a bearing, though, on, I presume, as well as playing slot receiver on coaching.
Probably. I mean, the only way to gauge that is improvement with wins and losses, right? So, yeah.
There was obviously a lot of talk or speculation about Sims and what he could do, running back, receiver, so on and so forth, special teams. Now that you've had him here 2 weeks and you've thrown him all over the place, what is reality for him?
He's a good player. Yeah, he's a good player. He's very well rounded. I remember him being very well rounded. Ball skills being good, setting up blocks, which is good. Being a good team player. I remember all that. It was at 6'1", 180 pounds as opposed to 6'1", 210 pounds. So, he's got an abundance of ability. He's got a great attitude. He's fitting in really well with the team. Extremely glad that he's here.
Moving him around that much, I mean, he's played a bunch, either for you and your system. How is he taken to, I know it's not equally split up about different things, but taking some time away from running back and doing some stuff for receiving? I imagine you want to get as much running back as you can, but if you can't play receiver.
There's only one of them. We can't clone them and put them in two different spots at the same time. So that makes it fun as a coach to be able to do that, to have guys like that can do different things, because you can start scheming a little bit, much like we did with Tavon. And there's not many guys that can do this, but guys that can play, several different spots are hard to come by. Not comparing him to Tavon at all, but just having guys like that you can put in different spots, and without having a year's worth of reps to be able to get them good at doing what you're asking them to do, makes it easier to game plan, makes it easier to scheme some things up.
You mentioned that by the time camp broke, you kind of wanted to have at least a pretty good handle on starters, be able to head into the first non-camp week knowing who was going to be where. Do you feel like you're going to be able to do that? And still moving guys around, how much harder does that make it for you heading into next week?
Yeah, you want to do it now, as opposed, if we're doing it a week from now, then I'd start getting antsy a little bit. So we're developing the depth chart. The first thing's developing a 2 deep, which we're pretty close on. And once you develop a 2 deep, then you can let those guys kind of battle it out for another week before you name starters before game week. So, and even in game, even when you go into the first game, there's specific positions where, such as like quarterback or center, that you're going to have starters and they're probably going to play the whole game. But then there's other spots that, maybe cornered, where you may want to have 3 corners that play, or you may want to have a third safety that's going to play nickel back 50% of the time. So just because you're not a starter doesn't mean you're not going to play a considerable amount. I mean, there's going to be 50 guys on this sheet of paper here that I'm looking at that are going to go into the first game knowing they're going to take snaps in one form, one way or another, whether it's some special team stuff or, second team stuff, or a rotation that we developed that we haven't really discussed yet. So the first thing's 2 deep. I wanted to get through camp and have a pretty good idea what the 2 deep is going to be, and who those 50 players are that we're counting on playing in the first game. And then kind of the next week is to is to get the starters situated on special teams, get the starters situated on offense and defense, but then figure out who those other guys are that are going to be in the rotation. And I think we're on track for doing that.
Danny, you've mentioned several true freshmen. Do you have an idea of those that are definitely going to play?
We haven't talked about it yet. Haven't talked about it yet. You know, DeKeel Shorts is a true freshman that will play. He was here in the spring, obviously. Wendell Smallwood is a true freshman that will play. He's looked really good at times. Let's see, true freshman. I'd be shocked if Darryl Worley doesn't have a big role defensively or special teams. Jeremy Tyler has really shown some things that is impressive. Al-Rashid Benton is a 250 mature kid that's shown some signs of life. I think that's it. I think that's all the true freshmen. You know, we got a bunch of junior college guys that potentially may redshirt, but I would, Mario Alford shows signs of doing really good things. Kevin White, he's not redshirt, and he's a big guy that's ready to go. Dreamer Smith has shown some good things, so we're still about a week away from that.
You have to play Wellman because of depth issues at that spot.
Moving Garrett Hope there has alleviated some of the need for him. He's shown some signs of being really good, and he's going to be a great player for us. You know, whether we want to waste a year on him being a third-team fullback, I don't know. That decision hadn't been made.
Dane, in the back of your mind, do you know who your quarterback's going to be yet?
We're close. We're getting close to figuring that out. We've got 3 more days. To be fair, to all of them, everybody involved, we got 3 more days to let them play. I've said it since the beginning of camp. If you have a bad day, you need to get prepared to come out and have a good day. So I anticipate by the end of practice on Saturday being 100% accurate. Accurate, I don't know, but 100% sure of the direction we're going to go.
Has Clint risen the level of play of Paul and Ford a little bit since he's been on?
I think Paul and Ford have elevated their game. Is that because there's another body, or because they've had all spring, all summer, and 17 days of camp to take reps? I think they've gotten better, yeah. Just not making our job any easier.
Danny, you bragging your special teams guys. I don't think you mentioned a kickoff person. Do you have one here, or is he coming eventually?
We don't have one yet. O'Toole's been booming the ball. Molinari's been booming the ball. Haven't figured out which guy that's going to be yet.
Judge with the lack of star power in the Big 12 at wide receiver. KJ the other day said he wants to break records this year, shock the world. Are those some realistic aspirations for a guy with some quarterback questions this year? Not sure who you're breaking in yet at quarterback.
Well, I'd shock the world. How do you? Yeah, KJ. I tell you what, KJ's been playing well now. He's one of the guys that I got kind of a big plus by right now. Kevin had 2 or 3 really good days, dinged his shoulder up, has been on the sidelines for 2 or 3 days, and KJ stepped in and took over. So I don't know who it's going to be. There's my reference to lack of star power in the Big 12. That's just like current guys that don't have a whole lot of a whole lot of numbers coming back, but there's going to be several guys in the Big 12 that step up that are going to be All-American receiver type guys. I don't know who they are. Heck, nobody knew who Joel Filani was going into his junior year, and he ended up catching 110, 115 balls going into that his junior year. So I hope it's KJ. That'd be a pleasant surprise. What I've said it before. We got some guys that are going to do it. I just don't know who they are yet.
And 3 guys that I'm looking at that may fit into the same thing as Elijah Wellman. They're positions where you've got a lot of people. Hodari Christian, Shelton Gibson, Jackie Marcellus.
Yeah.
Are they
haven't made the decisions yet. Hodari's really played a lot better. He's showed up on tape. They all these young guys are the same. They show up 2 or 3 times and then they disappear 2 or 3 times. You know, so you know, Shelton's a very talented kid. Jackie, they're both coming off knee injuries. You know, Jackie had that knee injury. It slowed him down in camp. He gets sore. Shelton had the knee injury to where he was on the sideline for a week and a half too. I think the future's bright for all those guys. How quick they pick it up and how quick they get on the field to make plays, don't know yet.
You talked about leadership last week, and comments kind of took on a life of their own. Were you surprised by how much attention that got, and do you want to clarify anything from last week?
You know, all that falls on my shoulders. You know, it was taken way out of context. You know, bottom line is you know, I was referencing 2012 and not having enough leaders, and that's one thing that we've taken into account this year, and we've been working on that since January. You know, as far as developing a whole room full of leaders, that's how you win a championship. You don't win a championship with 1 or 2 guys that you look to. You win a championship with the whole room full of guys that take the bull by the horns and say, you know what, we're gonna do some special things, which I like the direction we're at right now.